Welcome back to A Closer Look. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, Linda Fontaine. Today, or this hour, my guests are Caitlin Malloy. She is Marketing Coordinator with Birth Tissue Donor Services, and Patrick Abdelnasi, Vice President of Operations of Birth Tissue Donor Services. And I hope I got your names right. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi.
All right, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Let's start with Patrick. Patrick, first tell us, what is Birth Tissue Donor Services? What is your calling? What do you guys do?
So we're an organization. We are based out of Tennessee. Our corporate office is in Cookeville. We do have an office in East Tennessee that services East Tennessee. And we are an organization that gives expectant mothers an opportunity to donate their birth tissue, specifically placenta and umbilical cord. And we take that tissue and we send it off to various processors. And they can make transplantable grafts to help patients in need of transplant, such grafts for wound care, ocular care, spinal grafts, so many different uses for it.
This is wild. I have never really heard about this. I mean, you hear about stem cells, you hear about organ donation, different things like that. But I have never heard of birth tissue. Is this a new thing, or has this been going on for years? How long have you been in business with this?
So our organization has been in business for over 3 years. We have a lot of people in our organization that have been in the industry for many, many years, but we've been in business about 3 or 4 years. Started in Cookeville, and the need has grown to we are now in East Tennessee, and now we have hospitals calling on us to start programs in Michigan, South Carolina, North Carolina, Ohio, Kentucky, Georgia. So we are growing quickly.
Wow. It's amazing to me how much medicine has grown and the different things that we can do. This is amazing. I'd heard years ago when people would save their placenta and different things like that, but I didn't know really what all that meant. But there are people that come to the hospital and retrieve the tissue and then send it to where?
So we service our hospitals, and we're there for all the scheduled procedures. We go in, we talk to mom, we make sure they qualify. We do informed consent. It's the same, very similar process to being an organ or tissue donor. And we talk to the moms, we complete all the paperwork, and then we find a home for the tissue, as we have various processors that we can send the tissue to. And we make sure we find a processor that can accept the tissue and process it and use it for to make grafts, various types of grafts.
Various type of grafts. That's amazing. Now, Caitlin, how did you get involved with this? What's your role?
So I do all the marketing and the branding, everything. I just started almost a year ago, and before I started, I had no idea. I'd never heard of it. Just brand new to me. And the more research I did, the more that I saw that it was actually in other states, like bigger states of Texas, Florida, California. So it's not a new treatment. It's been going on now for a couple decades, but it's grown popularity because of the treatment the outcomes have been so great that the need now has grown. But yeah, I look into everything and all the areas that we work, and I find the need for moms that don't know what it is. I try to educate. I go around trying to educate the moms, let them know that this is an option. This is something that we can do, and if they don't, typically it gets discarded as medical waste. So that's another big thing is why waste that gift? Let's redirect it to somebody that needs it, somebody in need, a patient that could use it for wound closure, chronic pain, stuff like that.
So what's the most common use for, you said the placenta, or Patrick was saying placenta and umbilical cord are the most common takeaways from this for the birth tissue. So what's the most common cure that is used with these tissue grafts?
We have a lot of lot of processors, each processor specializes in a different graft, but we have a lot of processors making grafts for wound closure. Helps a lot of diabetic patients with those wounds that just won't close. The
Oh, I
healing
see.
properties are absolutely amazing with placenta. So you mentioned stem cells. The stem cells do help in the healing process. We don't necessarily spin off those stem cells, but the stem cells in the tissue help.
Oh,
And
okay.
we have processors that make ocular grafts. We have processors that help burn patients. So it just depends on the processor, but a lot of wound care is
So
ocular grafts.
does somebody have to be, like, when it's a donor, do you have to, can anybody use it? Or is it like when you have an organ that you have to match? I
No, they
can
don't have to
anybody
match.
benefit from it?
So any properties of the tissue that would cause it to reject are removed from the tissue.
Oh,
So the grafts can be used for anyone. There's no matching or blood type or anything like that.
okay. And so for the, like, if I was going in, or, I had a daughter that was going in and giving birth, I mean, I would just donate it. I don't get paid for my services. Is that right?
It's a totally intrinsic gift. It's altruistic gift. It's like being an organ or tissue donor.
Mhm.
There's no reimbursement for mom, but there's also no charge to mom, no extra procedure, no charge to the hospital. And like Caitlin said, it typically ends up being biohazardous waste that gets discarded.
Mhm.
So we have a pretty high consent rate where moms want to donate it because most of them are not going to do anything with it.
Gotcha. Now, how can somebody get a hold of you guys if they want to learn more about this?
So we have our website. It's Birth Tissue Donor. All the information is there, where it goes, how it's used. There is a form if they want to register to donate. They would just give us some information, just contact information, their OB, the hospital they plan to deliver at, their due date, and then we ask the moms to go ahead and talk to their OB about it, see what their OB knows about it, and then we can get in contact with them and kind of coordinate the recovery, get permission to be there, all that, all the behind the scenes things. And then on the day of the delivery, we keep it very simple. We do not want to intrude on that day. We are in and out. We don't want to cause, any distractions or extra work for the hospital. So the recovery coordinator will come in and introduce themselves, kind of go over kind of what we're doing right now, and have them fill out informed consent and a medical social history, gets a lay of their prenatal visits and their medical history. And then after that, we asked for 2 tubes of blood. And then that goes through for testing. And if everything is clear, then the recovery coordinator will be there for the delivery, recover the tissue, and they go ahead and clean it up, process it, package it, and ship it out to the people that make it into the grafts.
Okay, so again, what is that website again?
birthtissuedonor.com.
Birthtissuedonor.com.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
very
can
good.
call our number, or Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
You're all over the place, all the usual social media. That's
Right.
Okay. So do they have this in the hospitals? I mean, will somebody come to, or like if I was going to the OB, if I was, birth giving years. So would my OB-GYN have this information already? Or is this something I have to seek out? Like I'd have to get a hold of you before I go in to give birth, or anybody has to go in to give birth? Or is this something that the hospital will approach us with?
In our region, most of our hospitals, but Ballad, speaking about Ballad, we've had overwhelming support from Ballad and the OBs that service Ballad. So they have our information. They put our information in the patient packets, and we're there for every scheduled procedure, and we show up at the hospitals, and now the patients are asking for, where are the birth tissue people, because I want to donate my placenta. So we went from, going in and educating patients to patients already knowing about the process because the OBs have put it in their patient packets, the hospitals put it in their packets, and the nurses are very supportive. So the nurses, usually mention it to the patients. So when we walk into a room to talk to mom,
Mhm.
they already know about the process, and we just have to spend maybe about 10, 12 minutes with mom going over the consent and the paperwork, and we're kind of in and out of that room. But yeah, it's
You make it very simple.
marketing between Caitlin marketing it and the hospital and OB support. It's becoming more and more well known.
Wow, I think this is amazing. I love this. It's such a simple thing for people to do. And it sounds like the health benefits are outstanding, that you guys can do so much with just this little bit, you know?
Absolutely. Right.
So I love that. And I love science. This is amazing. And, I had a friend that got burned over 60% of their body. And is this the kind of thing that would help with?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, the patients heal exponentially faster with little scarring because the birth tissue, there's so much nutrition in the placenta, and the cells are so vibrant that when they make it into a graft, the patient's response is absolutely amazing. So yes, it helps burn patients and every patient that gets a graft from a birth tissue donation.
Well, this has been a great learning experience. I really appreciate both of you for being on the show today, and I hope you'll come on again sometime. So thank you so much for educating us on birth tissue donors.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
so much,
Linda.
Patrick and Caitlin. You guys have a super week. Stay healthy and safe. Take
Thank
care.
you too.
And thank you for joining us this week. And we will be back next week with another edition of A Closer Look. Take care.
Bye.